have not watched the second half of the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen. Shocking, I know. You're probably asking, why is that? Why did you not watch it weekly? Why did you not talk about it weekly? There's no real good reason for it. I just got busy, caught up doing other things, and kind of felt like I didn't want to watch it. Now that I'm going back to experience it, just everything feels immaculate. It feels like I'm watching it on my own without Twitter and everybody else being excited for it, which is perfectly fine, just my preference. In saying that, I thought I would talk about specific episodes because I've seen clips, I haven't seen everything all the way through, and it just seems like a great time, a great experience. And what better place to start than right here with Choso versus Yuji, because hands down, one of the most technically impressive episodes. The amount of visual variety, the flexibility when it comes to animation sequences, you have long range, short range, close quarters combat, all of these different things going on, the environment surrounding them being very cluttered, going from a long hallway to being very cluttered, everything is just top notch, pristine. So I want to talk about it. This episode structurally is immaculate. It really knows how to start, how to kind of elevate and transform over time, but also how to conclude. How do you end a moment like this? How do you leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger? How do you bring it to a close that feels comfortable with the audience, but still has enough lingering to obviously bring you back next week? The people that are coming back are going to come back, but you want to convince the people that are about to tap out. This is one of those episodes that does everything perfect structurally. The format, the pacing, from start to finish, everything just has this consistent, coherent flow that I absolutely adore. And when you have a character like Yuji, who obviously is our main, watching him be put up against someone of equal caliber, if not higher, but also has variety, has a massive range and arsenal of weaponry at his disposal to really throw everything off course. So at one point you're kind of comfortable, but then you're very quickly not comfortable. And that kind of spirals out of control when you watch Yuji deteriorate over time. He's trying his best, he's fighting his hardest, and he's very committed to this cause, but the person that he is fighting is just that tiny little bit out of his league, just has a little bit more experience with their abilities, with themselves, and being able to weave between that close quarters combat to the ability usage. It really shows how far Yuji is away from the deep end. Not having technical curse techniques or RCT of his own, it's difficult to keep up. And while he does have Black Flash, which is very incredible and very impressive and can easily devour a lot of people, the situations that he's put in within here is someone very intelligent and someone prepared for him to try and be tricky. So as much as this is a physical cat and mouse game on who can get the upper hand, who can overpower who, this is also a mental and emotional cat and mouse game. And I absolutely love that. So let us start at the beginning. The introduction to this fight is really impressive because it's very straight to the point, it's very simple. You have Yuji jumping down into the subway, and kind of as he's falling, he locks eyes with Choso. So before he even realistically hits the ground, Choso has seen him, recognized who he is, recognized the damage that he's done to Choso's brothers, and has already put his blood in motion and fired it off. At that point, you are splitting seconds, and you're diving headfirst directly straight into this fight. Yuji can't really do anything about this, but what's even more impressive is that even though it's in these fractions of a second, he's still able to respond to it. He blocks, or at least he tries to. Doesn't know what he's trying to block, but he has a faint idea. And I say faint idea in the sense of that he can sense and clearly see someone about to do something to him, so his instincts are obviously kicking in to block something. Piercing blood is not something that you want to block, especially when it has the charge up time, the energy behind it, the emotion behind it, because that thing's just going to blast through everything. So Yuji tanking it but also deflecting it upwards, I believe, is very impressive straight off the rip, and you don't necessarily realize that till a little bit after, when they have this long range battle, which is kind of weird because you're thinking, wait, Yuji's not a long range fighter, how is this even going to work? That's the beauty of it. Yuji is fighting an uphill battle, and Choso is in a beautiful position to take the upper hand however he wants, so there may be a lot of distance between between them, but Yuji is great in closing that gap, which he does multiple different times, but he has to retreat. I like this approach, and they make sure the viewing experience is recognizable how much distance they have. So Yuji has to jump in and jump out very quickly so he can actually think about what to do next. Mind you, he's still learning his opponent, he's still trying to figure them out, and he gets help from Mekamaru a little bit, who is the reason why they take this fight elsewhere. Yuji was not going to win in this corridor, especially when you realize the power of Choso's ability, right? Because he's flinging this thing around, and this is when Yuji's closing the distance. The issue that comes with that is that the sheer power of that attack, even though it's slow, is cutting through metal objects, and Yuji's dodging this like a slippery snake. So there's just a lot here, a lot to really enjoy. You kind of just glued to the screen, just trying to figure out how Yuji's going to get the upper hand. But then at the same time, you're falling in love with Choso as a character because he ain't giving up either. They're kind of oddly close to each other, or at least it's believable enough that they're oddly close to each other, because realistically they're not. In saying that, the best thing that you get to see from Yuji in these opening sections is the way he thinks, and considering this is one of the biggest battles that he's been in throughout the entire story, this is where it all matters. There's so much stuff going on outside around him. Yuji is needed, so he needs to stay alive, but when he starts getting into the nitty-gritty of this fight, that flips around on itself, that as long as he's able to take this person out, everyone else will have an easier time. So he goes into more of a conquer this thing in front of me if it's the last thing I do. It's very admirable. It's very Yuji coded. I think that's a great thing. The second half of this fight is where it gets really, really interesting. So let us talk about that. Thanks to Mekamaru, this fight heads into a bathroom. Choso's kind of weird about it. He's like, why would he go in there? Silly boy, silly idea. This is kind of to show how inexperienced Choso is. While he has the power and all of the skills to back it up, when it comes to actually utilizing said power in a combat scenario, there's not a lot of variety there. So Mekamaru provides all the keys to success. He baits him out, does everything, and lures Choso into the bathroom. Yuji's nowhere in sight, water everywhere. You're probably thinking, why is this here? Choso gets cornered and Yuji pushes him further back into the bathroom so he can't escape, which is something that you probably won't notice the first time you watch, but if you go back, it's very purposefully designed to cage him into the bathroom so he can't leave easily. This water would be the most effective thing in all the right ways, and it kind of completely derails the blood mechanism that Choso has, so it turns into a hand-to-hand combat scenario. This is where Yuji thrives, by the way. This is where he's most prominent. You have a beautiful reference or homage to the Raid and the Raid 2, etc., where these two are faced off with each other. Hand-to-hand combat, knuckle to knuckle, they're ready to get things done. It kind of explodes into this dance almost. Like there's so much going on and it's such a difficult environment being a small closed bathroom with water spraying everywhere. I can imagine the animation and like the team behind it just going hard trying to figure out what's going on. There's so much to focus on, but also so much you can get lost within. So the fact that this talented team, these animators, could provide such clarity within these moments, to me is incredibly wonderful. Choso's on the back foot, so now he's become a character that is fighting an uphill battle. And one of the best things about Choso versus Yuji is that when it does evolve into this situation, now both of these characters are fighting an uphill battle, which is kind of rare to get, at least to this extent. Normally, one character is going to have the worst time trying to win. Even if you bring them down to equal footing, it's usually the main character. It feels more purposeful. It feels more earned. Like once everything's said and done, whether you win or lose, it was a very massive uphill battle. So to have your villain or your antagonist also facing their own personal uphill battle at the exact same time makes for a very unknown, a very shaky experience because you don't really know who's going to win, but also something that's very beautiful, something that's going to forcefully put you in a position to learn about that character as well. Now this is Yuji's environment, yet Choso is rapidly adapting, and you see it. So the momentum between both of these characters is that of a dance. It's kind of just flowing back and forward until you get to a point of critical, who gets that final hit. And it makes you believe that it's going to be Yuji, but Choso is intelligent and he's incredibly observant. And the result is Choso winning this fight. But it doesn't end the way that you would think, because right before you actually would get the main character's death and Choso claiming his victory, it gets kind of a vision. If you're an anime only viewer, don't worry about it for now. There's a lot of stuff here when it comes to Yuji, Choso, death painting wombs. It is a whole narrative and a whole story thread within itself. It will be explained and it will be explored. It's a great way to end the episode because it leaves you with confusion. It leaves you with more questions than answers. While you just got one of the most magnificent hand-to-hand combat fights between two very beautiful characters, you leave that episode wanting more. An absolutely brilliant episode, just straight throwing hands. What more could you ask for? Welcome to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Maybe leave a like and subscribe. That'd be really nice. That'd be cool. Also, check out some of these videos right here. If you watch them now, or at least put them in the background, it lets YouTube know that my videos should be recommended. It's like watching them in consecutive order or something. I don't know. But thank you regardless. That's all I have, however. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.